Is F1 future-proofing itself? Formula One is becoming ever so popular with each coming season, as the sport's popularity grows exponentially high, partly because of the Netflix Drive to Survive series. But that's not the only reason, since a large portion of the crowd comes from the United States, with the third most populous country in the world having 3 races in the calendar for the first time this season, in Miami, Austin and Las Vegas. So F1 has to bring about some changes to future-proof this model, since it's proven to be very effective. It won't come without surprises though, so the question is it doable? Formula One is currently experiencing a meteoric rise in popularity, which has catalyzed unprecedented levels of growth in the sport. With new viewers tuning in, this in turn is opening up new markets and demographics that the sport could previously only dream of having access to. The United States Grand Prix, held in Austin, Texas last year, set a new record for the biggest event attendance with 440,000 people over the course of the weekend. This record was recently surpassed by the Australian Grand Prix this season, which had 444,000 attendees. However, such expansion is not able to be maintained over time. The sport is therefore confronted with the task of consolidating its newly acquired fan base, while simultaneously protecting its commercial model for a future that will not be able to boast the same exponential development. In comparison to the previous calendar year, revenue increased by more than $400 million in 2022, while the company's operating income increased by 333% in 2021. This has been made possible by the expansion of television audiences, which are expected to reach 1.55 billion people worldwide in 2021, representing a 4% increase from 2020. There was significant expansion in the Netherlands, United States, France, Italy, and the United Kingdom, all of which was at least 39%. The former experienced an increase of 81%, and the same thing has happened on social media, where the number of followers has increased across all of the platforms. That has resulted in a greater number of mentions, and consequently coverage and interactions, which helps to feed the cycle. However, this will inevitably slow down at some time in the future, as the rocket ride that the sport is now on cannot continue indefinitely, and while it is not certain when this shift will take place, it is undoubtedly the greatest risk that Formula One as a corporation will face in the near future. We know that we want to preserve the success of this competition, the success of the event that we are building on, Formula One CEO and President Stefano Domenicali told media. Domenicali acknowledges the part the series has played in reaching new fans, but believes it is just part of a broader and very deliberate growth strategy. Today, the sport enjoys a younger audience than at any time in its recent history, with a host of new fans finding it for the first time. A large portion of them is based in the United States, a market that has been notoriously difficult for the Euro-centric F1 business to crack. Speaking exclusively with Speedcafe, Domenicali suggested there were 3 dimensions driving the sport's growth. It's more than that, he said of the Netflix theory. For sure, we had to tackle how to connect and stay connected to fans. Fans are the center of our relationship, there's no discussion. Fans are old fans, avid fans, traditional fans, and if you just focus on them, of course, we're losing a lot of other opportunities. So what we did in terms of strategy was to look at how we could adapt and also attract new fans that were not really interested in our sport, of course, and with a traditional way of connecting and speaking would have been impossible. So we worked very hard on social media platforms, activation, connectivity with the drivers and the teams. It is a broad statement that brushes across on a variety of subjects, ranging from the participation of fans to the development of long-term revenue and the reduction of potential risks. All of these things are essential to the future of the sport, since without spectators, revenue will decrease, and of course this will lead the company to stop operations. The difficult task at hand is to maximize earnings not only in the present, but also in the future. How would this happen? Liberty Media is the owner of the Formula One racing series. While it has fostered a great number of positives for the sport, it is not altruistic, and its interest in the sport is a result of its ability to make a positive return on investment. As a consequence of this, it is willing to tamper with Formula One in order to make it more appealing to a wider fan base, to make it more marketable and commercially appealing, and for a variety of other reasons, all of which feed back into the general generating of income. The key is to steer clear of gimmicks that devalue the game or provide a benefit in the near term, but will, in the long run, cause irreparable harm to it. The F1 sprint effort has resulted in a rise in televised attention and has been well received by fans seated trackside, which is something that promoters are pleased to hear about. Initiatives such as that provide more than just what can be seen heading in the right direction, and the ability to charge higher hosting fees is contingent on the sport's ability to maintain the satisfaction of its promoters. Because of the enhanced track action, there will be more people watching the race on television, which will enable the track to command a bigger premium for the broadcasting rights. Then there are the knock-on effects, such as an increase in the coverage of the trackside signage, participation in corporate hospitality, and other things. The sprint is one example of an initiative that brings benefits to the wider business that serve to strengthen the fandom and limit the danger of the audience losing interest, and as well serve to act as a firm foundation for the business. The sport has also made itself more accessible, with a new social media strategy engaging with fans like never before. We want to offer to the ones that cannot be there something to be connected, Domenicali says. Formula One has its own over-the-top service called F1 TV, which provides, depending on the market, live coverage of the sessions, live updates, time, replays, highlights, and other content as well. These initiatives are designed to expand the sport's audience as much as possible and communicate more directly with supporters in an effort to engage them. The ultimate goal is to turn the casual watcher into an ardent supporter of the sport. You can have a cycle that is going up, down as well, Domenicali acknowledged. For us, it's still important to make sure that our fundamentals will be robust, and we are just scratching the surface with new markets that are at the beginning of a new journey. One of these new markets is the United States of America. Even though the United States has been a destination for Formula One races since the 1950s, it has only been in the past 5 years that the sport has seen any significant growth. This year it will play host to 3 competitions, one of which is the highly anticipated Las Vegas Grand Prix. A concerted effort has been made in recent years to bring back the South African Grand Prix, which indicates that there is a desire to grow into other regions, particularly Africa. But this step won't be taken unless there is a plan for the event's continuation that is both feasible and satisfactory. Maintaining relationships with promoters over the medium to long term is of the utmost importance, because doing so practically guarantees a steady stream of money for the duration of the contract, and this is the reason why Bahrain has a deal that lasts until 2036, while Melbourne has a term that lasts 1 year beyond that. As a means of ensuring the continued viability of the company in the years to come, extensive contracts have been agreed upon with a number of significant events that will take place in areas that are either well established or in the process of expanding. Domenicali is therefore in a position to safely experiment, investigate new avenues of business, events, and projects as a result of this. In addition to this, it protects the company from any bubbles that it may currently be experiencing, and by spreading out the termination dates of those longer-term commitments, it creates a sort of escape hatch in the event that the increased interest in Formula One turns out to be fleeting. It's basic economics and sound monetary policy. When times are good, save money and make investments to protect the business, so that when times are tough, the funds are available to support and compensate for the situation. This is exactly what Domenicali is working for, securing the fundamentals of the company in order to safeguard its future growth, while also taking risks that are being carefully evaluated. But all in all, F1 needs to protect itself from its present. What we mean by this is changing the rules for the uninspiring cars that result in lead drivers starting at the back far too often, little freedom for teams to innovate and bridge the gap to the front, and from that a totally predictable championship outcome. Massive risk management over use of safety cars and red flags destroying races. It's simply now a matter of cramming as many races as possible into a year to make as much money as possible for the owners, for whom Netflix has delivered an artificial audience boom. F1 is losing its long-term core fan base, and they need to do something about it fast. What do you think? Is F1 future-proofing itself or just losing their core fan base? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time!